The air here tastes of copper and wet ash. It is thick, heavy, and clings to the back of your throat, a physical weight that makes every breath a conscious, terrifying gamble. You are standing in the center of a narrow, twisting alleyway, hemmed in by timber-framed houses that lean toward each other as if conspiring in the dark. The cobblestones beneath your feet are slick with a mixture of mud, waste, and the damp fog that rolls off the Thames, shrouding everything in a ghostly, suffocating gray. It is night, but it is not quiet. Silence should be the natural state of this hour, but tonight the silence is broken by sounds that chill the marrow. A low, rhythmic creaking of wooden wheels on uneven stone echoes from the street beyond. A door slams shut, followed by the muffled sound of weeping that drifts down from an upper window, raw and hopeless. Somewhere in the distance, a dog howls, not in aggression, but in a strange, mournful keen that suggests it has been left alone too long. You pull your cloak tighter against the damp chill, but the cold is not just in the air. It is seeping up through the soles of your boots, a creeping numbness that feels like the touch of the grave itself. You are in London, but this is not a city of commerce or kings anymore. It is a waiting room for the dead. The year is 1348, though time seems to have lost its meaning here. The days blur into a haze of gray skies and smoke, and the nights are endless stretches of terror. You have arrived at the height of the great mortality. The pestilence that has swept across the world like a divine scourge has finally tightened its grip on this island, and London is its choking heart. As you step forward, your boot sinks into something soft and yielding in the gutter. You recoil, instinct screaming at you not to look, but you do. It is a pile of rags, or so you hope, until you see the pale hand protruding from the filth, fingers curled into a claw. The city is overflowing. The churchyards are full. The holy ground is bursting. The earth unable to swallow the dead fast enough, and so they spill out into the streets, left for the carts or simply abandoned by families too terrified to touch them. You move away, pressing yourself against the rough wattle and daub wall of a house. The wood is cold and damp. Above the door, painted in crude, dripping red ochre, is a cross. It is a mark of condemnation, a signal that inside these walls, the sickness has already claimed its victims. Lord have mercy upon us, the prayer is usually scrawled alongside it. But here the words have faded, washed away by rain, or perhaps scrubbed out by hands that no longer believe mercy is coming. Walking deeper into the labyrinth of the city, the smell becomes a physical assault. It is a sickly sweet, cloying odor, the scent of rotting flowers mixed with putrefaction. The people believe the plague is carried in the air, in a poisonous miasma, and so they burn rosemary, juniper, and incense in desperate attempts to purify the atmosphere. But the smoke only mingles with the stench of death, creating a nauseating perfume that coats your tongue. You cover your nose and mouth with a scrap of linen, soaking it in vinegar if you have it, mimicking the few shadowy figures you see hurrying past. No one makes eye contact. To look at another is to acknowledge a shared doom. To speak is to risk inhaling the poison. You turn a corner onto a wider street, perhaps Cheapside, usually a bustling artery of trade. Now, it is a desolate canyon. The stalls are empty, the shutters barred. The only movement comes from the rats. They are everywhere, bold and fearless, scurrying over the cobbles, darting between the heaps of refuse. They are fat, sleek with the abundance of waste, unaware that they carry the fleas that are the architects of this apocalypse. You watch a cluster of them fight over a discarded heel of bread, their squeaking the only sign of vitality in a landscape of exhaustion. Ahead, the fog parts slightly, revealing the flickering light of a torch. A cart approaches, pulled by a horse that looks as wretched as the city itself, ribs showing, head hung low. The driver, a man swathed in layers of dirty wool, his face hidden behind a hood, walks beside it. He does not shout the famous cry you might expect. He has no voice left for it, or perhaps there is simply no need. Everyone knows what he is there for. He stops before a house where a bundle has been pushed out onto the step. He hoists it with a grim, practiced efficiency. The body is small, a child, wrapped in a sheet that is stained with dark fluids. He tosses it onto the pile in the cart, where it lands with a dull, heavy thud against the limbs of strangers. There is no ceremony. There is no dignity. In the face of such overwhelming numbers, grief has been industrialized. You follow the cart at a distance, drawn by a morbid curiosity, or perhaps simply because it is the only thing moving with purpose. It leads you toward the edge of the city, toward the hastily dug pits at Smithfield. The ground here is churned into a sea of mud. Torches stab at the darkness, illuminating a scene that looks like the anteroom of hell. Men stripped to the waist, their bodies gleaming with sweat despite the cold, are working with spades. They are digging trenches, long and deep, but never deep enough. The cart backs up to the edge. The driver tips the bed. The bodies slide out, a tangle of stiffened limbs, open eyes, and matted hair, tumbling into the wet earth. There are no priests reading last rites here. The clergy have died in droves doing their duty until they too collapsed or they have fled, terrified by the sheer scale of the contagion. Those who remain are exhausted, their voices hoarse from whispering prayers over the dying until the words lost all meaning. You watch as a layer of quicklime is shoveled over the bodies, hissing as it hits the damp flesh. It is a practical measure, an attempt to burn away the rot, to stop the smell, to hide the evidence of how much the city has lost. But the white dust clouds up, ghostly in the torchlight, and you can almost taste the bitterness of it. Turning back toward the city center, you seek refuge from the open horror of the pits, but the streets offer no comfort. You pass a tavern, the Tabard perhaps. The door is slightly ajar. Inside it is dark, but you hear voices. Not weeping, but laughter. It is a shrill, hysterical sound. Some have decided that if death is inevitable, they will meet it drunk. They are spending their last coins, drinking the cellar dry, gambling with dice made of bone. It is a nihilistic defiance. You glimpse them through the crack, faces flush with wine and fear, eyes too wide, laughing too hard at a joke no one understands. They are the fatalists, the ones who have accepted the end and decided to consume what remains of the world before it consumes them. Further on, the atmosphere changes. You hear the sound of rhythmic chanting, a low drone that vibrates in the chest. A procession emerges from the gloom. These are not the drunken revelers. These are the penitents. They walk barefoot in the freezing mud, holding candles that sputter in the damp wind. They are whipping themselves or each other with cords of knotted rope and leather. The wet smack of the lash against skin echoes off the timber walls. They believe this is God's wrath, a punishment for the sins of mankind, and that only through blood and pain can they buy salvation. Their backs are raw, streaked with crimson, but their faces are ecstatic, eyes rolled back, lost in a trance of suffering. They do not see you. They do not see the city. They see only an angry God who demands payment in flesh. You press yourself into a doorway to let them pass, the heat of their bodies and the smell of sweat and iron washing over you. As the last of them fades into the fog, you are left alone again with the city's true face. You look up at the windows of the houses above. Most are dark, tomb-like, but in one, a candle burns. Through the thin, stretched parchment that serves as glass, you see a silhouette. A woman sitting by a bed. She is motionless. Is she watching over a sick husband, a dying child? Or is she simply waiting for her own turn? The intimacy of the scene is piercing. Behind that thin wall, the drama of the plague is playing out in its most personal, agonizing detail. The sickness begins with a headache, a fever, a shivering that cannot be quelled. Then come the buboes, swellings in the groin or armpit, hard and painful, growing to the size of an apple or an egg. They turn black, filled with vile humors. If they burst, there is a chance, a slim chance, of survival. If not, the poison turns inward. Black spots appear on the skin, the tokens of death. The victim begins to cough up blood, their lungs liquefying, drowning in their own fluids. It is a death of immense suffering, swift yet agonizingly slow for the one watching it happen. And it is happening in that room, just feet above your head. You keep moving, driven by a need to escape the stillness. You find yourself near the river, the Thames. The water is black, an oily ribbon cutting through the city. Usually this river is the lifeblood of London, crowded with ships from Genoa, Venice, and France. Now the ships sit idle at the wharves, their rigging creaking in the wind like skeletal fingers. The crews are dead or fled. The cargoes of silk, spices, and fine wool sit rotting in the holds. The economy of the world has ground to a halt. There is no one to buy, no one to sell, and no one to transport. The wealth of London is meaningless here. Gold coins lie in the purses of the dead, untouched by thieves who fear the infection more than they desire the riches. The stench from the river is potent, sewage and tannery runoff. But tonight it feels almost clean compared to the smell of the streets. You stand on the muddy bank, looking across to the south side, to Southwark. There are fires burning there, small pinpricks of orange in the blackness. Are they burning clothes, bedding, or whole houses? The fear of contagion has driven people to madness. Stories circulate of Jews being burned, accused of poisoning wells, or of old women branded as witches. In the absence of understanding, humanity has turned on itself, looking for a scapegoat to explain the inexplicable. A rat scuttles over your boot, startling you. You kick it away, your heart hammering against your ribs. The fear here is not just of death. It is of the invisible nature of the enemy. You cannot fight it with a sword. You cannot wall it out. It comes in the air, in the touch of a loved one, in the bite of a flea you cannot see. It is an enemy that turns the most basic human instincts, to comfort, to hold, to gather, into a death sentence. To love is to kill. To care for the sick is to dig your own grave. You wander back toward the looming silhouette of St. Paul's Cathedral. The great church stands dark and massive, a stone mountain rising from the wooden city. The doors are barred. Even God's house is closed. Outside on the steps, people are huddled, wrapped in blankets, sleeping or dead. It is hard to tell. They have come as close to the sanctuary as they can get, hoping that proximity to the altar will save them. You step carefully over them. One man is awake, his eyes bright with fever. He looks at you, his lips moving, but no sound comes out. He holds out a hand, not for money but for water, or perhaps just for a human touch. You hesitate. The instinct to help wars with the primal urge to survive. You step back, you turn away. The guilt is instant, a sharp pang, but it is swallowed by the cold reality of the night. Compassion is a luxury you cannot afford. The wind picks up, whistling through the eaves of the houses. It carries the sound of the cathedral bell tolling. It strikes the hour. 1, 2, 3. It is the dead of night. The tolling is slow, mournful. In weeks past, the bells rang constantly for every funeral, a ceaseless cacophony that drove the city to distraction. Now, there are ordinances against it. The bells are silenced to prevent despair. But this one tolls, a solitary, defiant note in the dark. You find yourself in a narrow lane, the walls pressing in so close you can touch both sides. You stumble, your foot catching on a loose stone. You fall to your knees in the filth. The cold mud soaks instantly through your breeches. You gasp, inhaling a mouthful of the foul air. Panic rises in your throat. You scramble up, wiping your hands frantically on your cloak. But the filth is everywhere. You feel contaminated. You feel the itch of phantom fleas. You imagine the heat rising in your blood, the swelling beginning in your armpit. Is this how it starts? With a stumble in the dark? You lean against a post, breathing hard, trying to steady your racing heart. You look up at the strip of sky visible between the rooftops. The fog is thinning just enough to reveal a single pale star. It looks impossibly distant, cold and indifferent. It shines on the palaces of kings and the hovels of the poor with the same detached light. The plague does not discriminate. It has taken the Archbishop of Canterbury. It has taken the lowest serf. It is the great equalizer, stripping away titles and nobility, leaving only fragile, mortal meat. As the night begins to wane, a subtle shift occurs in the air. The darkness turns from black to a bruised purple. Dawn is approaching. But there is no relief in the coming day. The sun will rise on the same horror. It will illuminate the bodies that have accumulated during the night. It will bring the flies. It will bring the heat that ripens the stench. The morning does not bring hope. It only brings visibility. You see a figure emerging from a doorway across the street. It is a doctor or a man posing as one. He wears the terrifying mask you have heard of. The beak of a bird filled with herbs, glass goggles protecting his eyes, a long waxed coat to deflect the bad air. He looks like a demon, a monster born of this nightmare. He carries a cane, using it to poke at a body lying on the cobbles, checking for life without touching the flesh. He shakes his head, turns, and walks away, a surreal silhouette against the graying light. He is a symbol of the futile attempt to understand, to control, to fight a force of nature that defies all logic known to this time. You are tired. A bone-deep exhaustion that goes beyond lack of sleep. It is the exhaustion of witnessing the unraveling of a world. You have walked the streets of a city that is bleeding to death. You have seen the best and the worst of humanity, the self-sacrifice of the priests, the hedonism of the taverns, the cruelty of the desperate, the apathy of the survivors. As the first true light of day hits the top of the cathedral spire, you stand still in the middle of the street. The silence of the night is breaking. The creak of the carts returns. The cry of "Bring out your dead" will soon echo again. But for this moment, there is a pause, a heartbeat between the horrors of the night and the horrors of the day. You look at your own hands. They are dirty, trembling slightly. You are still here. You are still breathing. In this city of ghosts, that simple fact feels like a miracle, or perhaps a curse. You are a witness to the end of an age. The world that will emerge from this will be different, scarred, emptier, perhaps wiser, perhaps harder. But the people who lived and died this night in these mud-choked alleys under the shadow of the leaning houses, they are not history to you anymore. They are real. You have heard their weeping. You have smelled their fear. You have walked in their shadow. The sun breaks the horizon, a blood-red disk rising through the mist. It casts long, distorted shadows across the cobblestones. The city wakes to die another day, and you, the silent observer, are left standing in the cold morning light, carrying the weight of a night that will never truly end. Would you like me to guide you through another historical moment, perhaps witnessing the Great Fire of London that would eventually purge these very streets centuries later?